Okay. Hello, everybody. I hope you're staying safe out there. My name's Stephen Rivas. I'm the product manager at Win91 Software. Today, we're going to be talking about sending text messages with the cellular modem, specifically the Sierra Wireless RV50X. So throughout this webinar, if you have any questions, please submit them through the questions section of the GoToWebinar app. And at the end, at the end of the presentation, we'll go ahead and get to those. So if you're familiar with Win91, you probably know that sending text messages with cell modems is nothing new. Historically, we've only officially supported multi-tech modems, and we would do that. We would send text messages with those modems by issuing AT commands directly to the radio module. The way that we do interface with the Sierra Wireless modem is a departure from that. By interfacing directly to the radio module like we have with multi-tech modems, it locked you out of all the other features of the modem. So it was really underutilized, the modem, so you couldn't use it for much else other than, well, I mean, that's really all you could use it for. It was for texting. The RV50X modem has many other capabilities other than sending text messages, but that is primarily what we're going to cover today. I mean, it is a router, it is an industrial gateway, has many features that you can likely utilize within your process, but we're only going to be talking about texting today. And again, one of the great things about how we're interfacing to this modem is that we're not locking you out of all of those other features. You can continue, if you want to use it for an internet gateway, you can, and you can still send text messages with Win91. And I also just want to point out that this does not mean we're dropping support for multi-tech modems. One of the reasons we've added support for this modem is due to the lack of availability for some of their newer stuff. So with that, I'm just going to cover some basic info about the modem. This is what it looks like on the right there. So what is it? I mean, it is a Cat6 LTE cellular gateway. It's an LTE modem. It does have fallback. It does support fallback bands for HSPA. So if you don't have LTE in your area, it will work with other bands. And that information can be found in the data sheet for the modem. It works worldwide. Now we're primarily focusing on North America and EMEA with the modem. So while it does work everywhere, we're really focusing our efforts there, and that's where we're reselling it. Which languages does it support? Any language that supports ASCII or extended ASCII characters. So this is an important thing to point out. I think for most of you guys who are likely in North America, this is totally fine. However, if you want to send characters that require a Unicode like Chinese, simplified Chinese, this modem will not do that at this moment. So it's only going to support standard characters like if you're using English, you're good to go. Which carriers does it support? All the major carriers in the United States and in Canada. These, I just realized I covered up the last one with that picture there. Sorry about that. These are the carriers that have an official certification for support. This does not mean that these are the only carriers it works with. It's just the ones that it was certified for use. My understanding after speaking with Sierra Wireless is they work with pretty much every carrier out there, but if you're unsure, you can contact them and they can let you know, and support so many different radio bands that I don't think you're going to find a carrier that it doesn't support unless they're doing something proprietary. And how do you connect it to your server or workstation where you're running Win911? You have two options. One's through Ethernet, so you can plug it into your switch, or you can use it as a router. We're going to be talking about how you can connect it to your switch and treat it like a network appliance. Or you can plug it in through USB. It has a micro USB port on it. When you plug that into your computer, it creates a virtual network card. So while it is plugged in USB, it looks like a network card that you can interface directly to. Either way is supported for use with Win911, but we're going to talk primarily today about how using the Ethernet port on the back of it. And which version of Win911 do you need? So we just released 420.5. If you guys aren't aware, it was specifically to announce add support for this modem. So if you want to use this modem, you just need to go download that version and upgrade. A few more things. How do you configure it? It's through a web configuration, just like the multi-tech modems if you're using the Ethernet versions. So you just open up a browser and go to the IP address of the modem, and you can configure it there. It runs an OS called Alios. So that's how you're configuring the Alios operating system when you're logging into the configuration. It does have dual SIM card support, meaning that you can have two different carriers in there. Some carriers support automatic failover, so if you can't send a message on one carrier or you disconnect, then it can automatically fail over to another carrier. Now, you wouldn't want to put two Verizon SIMs in, for example, because you just fail over to another. You just fail over to the Verizon network, so that wouldn't really work. But if you had Verizon and AT&T, or maybe if you did have two Verizon, one set up on different accounts, maybe that would be helpful. I'm not sure. Internet connectivity, like I mentioned earlier, it does allow you to connect to the internet if you want to. You can also, it has a lot of features to block internet access so that you can just turn that off if you like, if you're not interested in using that. Again, we're primarily going to be talking about how we can use this modem to send text messages, and that's what I'm going to try and walk you through with this diagram that I made. So this is how does it work. So the components you see on the screen, you've got a Win911 server. This is where you're running Win911 with the SMS module. That's the modem in the middle, cell towers, and then the actual device you're sending it to. So when Win911 receives an alarm from your SCADA system, it needs to be sent out. So the software is configured to send text messages to this particular modem. So when that message actually goes out, what we're going to do is encode the message, the alarm message, in ASCII hex, and this is going to be sent as a UDP packet. So a UDP packet is created, and it's going to be sent over to the modem through that Ethernet or USB connection, and that modem ingests that UDP packet, and in that packet it has a destination in the message. And I don't know why it's not doing my animations. I work so hard on these animation guys, and now it's not showing them for me. But it would go ahead and send it to the cell tower and then send it to your cell phone. And then when you want to send it reply, let's say an operator gets the message and he wants to acknowledge it, he types in the ticket number, it very simply just goes back to the cell tower sends it to the modem, and then the modem is configured with the IP address of the Win911 server. You can only have it's a 1-to-1 ratio for the modem to Win911 support, because the modem is configured with an IP address of where to send inbound text messages. So when the AirLink modem gets this message, it's already configured, which we're going to walk through here in just a moment, with an IP address. So it sends it over to the Win911 server because that's what's configured. And then Win911 receives it and processes the message, and that's that. It's fairly simple process. So again, rather than interfacing to that radio module, we're just sending UDP packets, and that way we don't have to mess with AT commands. You don't have to mess with AT commands. There are no init strings or anything like that. You just talk to the radio through it with this UDP packet, and everything is good to go. So what I want to do now is I want to walk you through the setup of the whole thing. Now, this is going to be risky, I think, doing such a live demo here in a webinar with networking. But I'm going to go ahead and attempt it. So what I'm demoing specifically is if you purchase this modem from us, it's I've already got it powered up and everything, but this is the process that you would do if you want to set up the modem and treat it as a network appliance. If you want to use the modem and utilize its internet connectivity, these are not the steps that you would take for that. We haven't documented that yet, but we will add a setup guide for it if you have it. So if you have questions about that, we will be releasing that. This is specific steps to take a modem, disable the router features, and then set it up on your network so that Win91 can send text messages through it. All right. So let's go to my VM. All right, so this is my VM. I'm running Server 2019. I have Win91 installed, and I also have Factory Talk installed, but that really doesn't matter too much. What SCADA system we're using. This is the install guide that I've written to talk you through the exact setup. So this is kind of what we're following here. Some things that I can't really show you through a webinar that I just wanted to talk about. SIM card. When you need to get a SIM card, you need to get a standard SIM card for this. It does not use micro SIM or nano SIM. If you do have those, you'll need an adapter to upsize it to the bigger one, to the standard size SIM. I'm only talking about using one SIM card. If you were using two, you'd insert the second SIM underneath. And this is what the back of the modem looks like. When you purchase it from us, we're going to give you the antennas that you need and a power adapter. If you do purchase it separately, or be aware that it does not come with those things, you have to buy them separately. And so I've got my antennas plugged in and I've got it powered up and I'm connected through Ethernet. Now, this is what we're going to primarily walk through here is a network configuration. So when you first get the modem, it's set up as a router. So if you just plug it into your switch, it's going to potentially start assigning IP addresses to devices on your network, which you most likely don't want it to do. So the initial steps that we're going to take to disable that, and the easiest way that I have found to do this is to plug the modem from the Ethernet port directly into your computer. And that's what I've done here. So if I come into command prompt and do an IP config, this is the IP address that I have got from the modem. It's 192.168.13.101. I already know that the configuration portal is at this IP address on port 9191. So everything's booted up. I'm connected. I can sign in. The default password is very secure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I suggest you change that if you are setting this modem up. When you first sign in, you're going to be taken to the status page. If your SIM card's inserted and everything's good with your account, you're going to get this network state is network ready. That's how you know you're good to go. And you're going to be able to send text messages. So again, the first thing I want to do is disable the router stuff and also set a static IP address for my normal process network or whatever network it is that Win91 is running on. So first step for that is to go to this LAN tab. And again, this is the alias configuration here that we're looking at. And we want to go to LAN, we go to Ethernet because we're going to change the Ethernet settings. And I have device IP. This is the IP address of the modem. That's what I'm accessing over here. I know that I have a static IP address reserved on my normal network of .0.10. So I'm going to change that. For you guys, you need to work with your IT team to get a static IP address. It needs to be static. If it's not static, then if it ever changes, Win91's going to stop working, and that won't be good. Also, the IP address for your Win91 system needs to be static. Now, we're going to disable DHCP mode so that it won't assign any IP addresses. When you disable this, these settings here don't matter, the starting IP and ending IP ranges, so we're not worried about that. Anytime you make a change, it highlights it in yellow so that you know that that was a change. So we're going to hit apply, but the changes don't take effect till you reboot, and we need to change something else. So we're going to go down to host port routing. We don't want this to function as a gateway on your network. We don't want it responding to ARP requests, so we're going to disable that as well. So go to host port routing and disable it, hit apply. And now for these changes to take effect, we need to reboot it, which doesn't make for great webinar material. So let's just click the reboot button up here. And while it's rebooting, what I'm going to do is I have the modem plugged directly into my laptop. I don't want to do that because I'm trying to assign it to my network. So what I'm going to do is take the modem while it's rebooting, unplug it from directly into my laptop, and plug it into my switch, or in this case, I'm using a router because I'm at home and I don't have a switch to plug it into. So now I'm plugging this modem directly into my router, and it's got a reservation for 10.0.0.10. And I'm also going to plug my computer back into my normal network because I had to disconnect it to set that up. While it's rebooting, I need to change my IP address to get it back onto the regular network. So actually I don't have it set as static within the Windows operating system. I just have the IP reservation set up in the router. So what we'll do is get a new IP address. This is the part that I'm most worried about in a presentation, is changing IP addresses and it not working correctly. So we should get a 10.0.0.5. All right, so we're plugged into my router. I got the IP address that I wanted from the router. I'm waiting for the modem to reboot it. It looks like it did reboot. So what I'm going to do is come in here and change my IP to the new IP address, which I was testing this earlier, so it's already filled in. So there you go. So now I can access the portal again. So now we can go to set up the rest of it. I think I clicked log in. Come on. Oh, it's loading. Probably because it's still just rebooted. Come on. Try that again. Sign in. There we go. Okay. So to set up the rest of it, we have to configure the SMS settings within Alio. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Services tab and go to SMS. We need to change some of these settings. These are all covered in the setup guide. So if you want to, if you do get a modem and you want to follow along, we show you all the settings that you have to change. So don't worry about that. So SMS mode, we need to change that to control and gateway. And then we're going to leave most of this stuff default. Here's where we're going to change some things. The local host IP. I told you that when you get an inbound text message, the modem needs to know which IP address to send that text message to. So that's going to be the IP address of the Win911 machine. I did just renewed a new IP address on my router, and that's what I want to type into here. Again, this needs to be static. If it changes, you won't be able to receive inbound text messages. Here we have a port setting. This is the port that the UDP packets are going to be sent over. Our default in our configuration is 911. You can use any port that you like, but they do have to match on both sides. So you feel free to change it and use any port that you like, as long as it's not in use by any other application on the computer. The message format configuration, we don't need to change any of this. This is just the way it parses messages. It doesn't affect what gets delivered to your phone. Don't change it. If you do change it, it's not going to work correctly. So the message body format is ASCII hex. There is no other option right now. So again, it doesn't support Unicode. So if the language you want to send has to use Unicode, this modem is not going to work for you. We're hoping that they'll add Unicode support, but right now we're just not sure what's going to happen there. That would be ideal. There is another feature that we're not going to enable for trusted phone numbers. So What this lets you do is only allow inbound text messages from trusted phone numbers. Now you could go in and add all of these. I think it is it's a bit of a maintenance nightmare to come in and have to add phone numbers in Win91 and then come add and also add them in here. But if you wanted to, you could enable that. All right, that's it. So that's all we got to change. What we're going to do is hit apply. Unfortunately, we got to reboot the modem again, but we can go set up Win911 while we're waiting for that to reboot. Let's wait. Okay, it's going. All right, so let's go to the Win911 configuration. I already have the workspace pulled up. So what we want to do is go to contacts, go to gateways, and I only have the SMS notifier installed. And I want to add a new gateway. So I'm just going to, you can call this anything you like. I think it might be useful. I don't know the phone number, but if you wanted to type the phone number in the name, that might help you later on if you're trying to figure out what the phone number for this thing is. Of course, I haven't followed my own advice, but so we'll just give it a name. It could be anything that you want. It's just a user-friendly name. So connection type, serial and telnet are for the multi-tech modems. That's not what we're doing here. We're doing UDP. And you'll notice all the other settings go away when we turn it on. We'll type in the address of the modem and set the port number. So that default's 911. Again, you can change that if you like. So we're going to save that. We're not going to test it yet because there's something else that we have to do. We have to go over to our firewall. So I have no internet access. That's this router and network I'm using has no internet access. That's why it says that. We need to adjust the firewall to allow inbound connection for inbound UDP packets. There's two different ways you can do this. One, you can just allow the SMS runtime through the firewall. That's the easy way to do it. They're both easy, honestly. And then the other one is you set up a UDP specific rule that says I'm going to allow inbound and outbound UDP packets. For this, I'm just going to go allow an app through the firewall. You get this old Windows firewall interface. Click change settings. This is server 2019, so it may look a little different in the OS that you're using. We click allow another app. We're going to browse for the runtime for SMS, which again, I was doing this earlier, so I'm already browsed there. This is all in that document, so we cover all this. This is the executable that is running as a Windows service. So all of our pieces, runtime components run as Win911 services. So if you came to your services list, you would see it here. This Win911 SMS runtime is this executable. So we're going to select it and say add. And I am using the private network, so I just want to check private here. If you're using this other network profile, you would check it. So I'm going to say OK. The modem is rebooted by now, so we can close this guy. We can close all those. I just realized I didn't start this client, so we're going to have to watch that client start. But let's go test the modem. Come on. Okay. Go to the background there, factory talk. There. All right, so the modem is rebooted now, so we can do a test setting. So we're just, all it's going to do is we put in a phone number, and I'll hit button, and it's going to send a UDP packet to the modem, and it's going to try and deliver it to my cell phone. All right, so it says it's successful. That means that the modem sent an ACK message back letting us know that it went through. I just got the text message on my phone. This message, what it says when you send it is very simple. All it says is that your modem settings, the modem configuration you provided appears to be correct. So I'm sorry I don't have my phone on the screen. I didn't have time to set that up for you guys, but so that's what the text message says. So I can say OK. Now what we'll do is I just wanted to show you guys an alarm getting acknowledged or sent out and acknowledged. We'll go to log viewer. And it appears that is the factory talks just starting still? Okay. I was like, it looks like it had closed. This is taking some time here. We'll just kill some time while this is loading. So again, like I was saying, this guide is just taking you through all the same steps that I'm doing here. I just look at that, my picture is shrunk down. I need to go solve that on the deal. So sorry about that. But this is the firewall settings we went through, and now we've already done the SMS gateway settings. So the only thing to do now is to trigger an alarm, send it to my phone, acknowledge it, and it will come back to Win91 and ACK it in factory talk. All right, here we go. I feel like we're close. All right, cool. So what we'll do is we'll trigger. I have Win91 set up to just bring in one of these alarms. I didn't really think there's any point in bringing them all in. So we'll turn alarms on and wait for them to get generated. There they all come in. So they should come into Win91. This computer's going pretty slow. Come on. There it goes. So there is my alarm came in from factory talk, and it should be trying to send a message, except that we've got an error. So let's see. So if you guys can, this is some troubleshooting you can do if it's not doing what you want. If you can go to strategy execution, you know that initial event, I wanted to notify everybody. The tactic started and it was unable to load all the things from a module. So I don't know why it did that. So let's go reboot. So I have a feeling it has something to do with switching the network on Win91 like that behind its back. It's probably not good practice to do. So just switch your networks around and your IP addresses. So let's go restart everything. If I restart, it will restart all the Win91 runtimes. So if it is something to do with IP address, this should solve it. So we'll just wait for that to come through. The alarm will come back into the log viewer, and then we will try to send it again. Okay, everything is started. Let's go back up and wait for the alarm to come through. This should update. Dispatcher came online. The factory talk, I don't know what order this started in. Maybe I should just be patient. Yeah, it should just be patient. All right, so I'll click it, and I'm still having the same problem. Well, I don't know what's going on now, but let's take a look at it. Dispatcher was able to do it, so let's go. This is what I was talking about. This is why I was worried about doing something with changing the network around like this. Let's go find out what my error is, and maybe I can see what's going on specifically. Well, looks like it just can't talk. Try it one more time. If it doesn't work here, then we'll just have to move on. Same thing. It's instantly, there's something wrong with my network, I guess. All right, well, that's unfortunate. We'll go back to, well, the last thing I was going to show is just sending the text message out and then acknowledging it. So of course, best laid plans. So what we'll do is jump back to the presentation. Which modem should you get? That failure that you just saw has nothing to do with this modem, but if you need internet connectivity, I recommend getting this AirLink RV50X over the Multitech modems. Again, one of the main reasons that we switched over to this modem was because Multitech discontinued their Verizon and AT&T specific modems. That was the MTR LVW2 and the MTR LAT1. They have a new modem, which is the MTR LNA7, that supports both Verizon and AT&T, but we have been testing it and it's not working out right now. But we're still hopeful that we will confirm support for it so we can continue supporting Multitech modems. But in the meantime, if you want an Ethernet-based modem, then this is the modem that we recommend getting. If you want to connect it directly to your server, then you can still use the AirLink modem through that USB port that I was talking about. Or you can use Multitech's MTC LNA4. That's their new serial modem that does support Verizon and AT&T. And again, this is primarily aimed at North American customers. If you're somewhere else in the world, Multitech has other modems for the EU and EMEA and Asia Pacific. So, but these are the two modems that we recommend getting. So that pretty much wraps up that part of the presentation about the modem. I just wanted to point out that we are trying to do weekly webinars. So the next one will be talking about upgrading from Win91 version 7 to the new Win91, specifically about detailing the mobile installation. Then after that, we'll follow that up with a distributed install. So the distributed installs is the concept of installing certain modules on certain PCs. So if you wanted to have your data source module on your control network and the rest of Win91 in your DMZ, then that a distributed install allows that to happen. Then we're going to do factory talk alarm and events best practices. So we'll talk about how you set Win91 up to talk to factory talk and how to configure your alarms. And then we're going to do a repeat of the Win91 installation tips and tricks. So if you've seen that one before, it's going to cover mostly the same material. You'll be able to register for these on our website, win91.com webinars. We haven't uploaded the registration pages just yet. You'll also, if you got an invite to this webinar, then you'll get an email invite for that one as well. And a couple things that we're working on this year. The main thing is a new desktop UI. So we're replacing the interface that I was going through just a moment ago with a WPF desktop application. We're getting close to finishing designing that, and we've made some major changes to make things more user-friendly and make configuration quicker. We're also going to remove our dependency on IIS so that you don't have to have that installed, which takes a lot of the install times that we have are pretty slow because of a lot of the IIS stuff that we have to do. And we're also, one of our goals is to decrease resource usage when no one is running. So removing IIS is just a huge chunk there that we'll be able to just take out with it like that, or take out by removing it. Next thing is redundancy. So we've been talking about redundancy for years and years and years. It's a company goal this year to get redundancy released to you guys. So what that means for us is an automatic failover to a backup Win91 system. So say you have two Win91 systems, they're both communicating with your SCADA. They're sharing a synced database for the configuration, so you don't have to make multiple changes whenever you change a call out order or something like that. So we will our goal is to release that this year. And then after that, OPC UA alarm and conditions, we want to release a data source for that one. So right now our primary focus are the top two, and then OPC UA will be later this year. So if you have any ideas around those things you would like to see changed, then I recommend that you check out our features.win91.com feature request board, where you can submit feature requests. If there are things that you would like to see changed, please go there and submit your ideas. we browse that port a lot, and the last thing that was most upvoted was something we'd been working on for the alarm announcer. That is a replacement for the local announcer in version 7. We just released a heartbeat for InTouch Edge HMI or Aviva Edge or whatever the name of it is this week. So please, if you have ideas and you'd like to share them, go submit them there, and we can have a discussion then, and even have meetings after that, or webinars to discuss your specific use case. So that's been really great, and I encourage more and more people to use that. So that is the end of the presentation. I'm gonna go ahead and check to see what the questions are. We have let's see, just a couple. Uh-oh, you guys lost audio. That's not good. Okay, let's try. Okay, first question here is, Win9 support specific to the RV50X, or will it work with other AirLink Alios models? We have numerous GX440s and 450s and some other models deployed amongst our customers. And well, if it has Alios and it has the SMS feature, it's going to work. All those modems are not tested, Tyler, but we have tested with some other models like the LX40. So we've tested RV50X, LX40, and we're looking into other modems to add support for, but it doesn't seem to matter what the modem is itself. It just depends on the operating system, Alios operating system. So if it's running Alios and it has that SMS feature, then it's most likely going to work just fine. In fact, I didn't share how much we're reselling the RV50X modem for. We'll resell it for $1,000. Which is kind of expensive compared to the multi-tech modems, but Sierra Wireless has other lower cost modems that we're currently validating, and we'll add to our price sheet later. But again, just in general, if you're running a Sierra Wireless modem, AirLink Alios modem, and it has the SMS feature, then it's most likely going to work. Setup steps should be almost identical. Okay, would you know if the RV50X would be supported as well? Yeah, so same deal there, Jason. So if the RV55X that one should definitely work, because I know that the Alios part of it's almost identical. What is the difference between redundancy and hot backup? So to me, a hot backup is two separate Win9 systems with two separate databases. And so you have to make changes on either one. And redundancy will be two Win9 systems sharing a configuration, so everything stays in sync, and an automatic failover configured within Win9. So there won't be any scripting outside of Win9 to make failovers occur, and it will automatically recover. Again, if you have input on how you'd like us to see, how you like us to handle redundancy, or some consideration that you'd like us to make, please submit it to that feature request board, and we'll address that there. All right, this isn't quite a question, but just glad to hear the Silverlight UI is going away. So am I. Been wanting to get rid of it for a long time. It is a big effort we're basically rewriting the whole front end of the application, and we're trying to, our primary focus is to make it easier to use. A lot of our customers don't like the separation of strategies and tactics, so we've found a way to combine everything so that it's in some ways it's closer to version 7, and then in some ways it's still a little bit different, but still very flexible, but much easier to use than the separation that we have today. Also focusing on the creation of contacts, trying to streamline that. We've brought back the idea of the address book, so all the contacts are configured in one spot. I just realized why my demo didn't work. I didn't configure my contact. I didn't configure my name in there because there was nobody to contact. That's why I didn't send a message. Man, that's pretty lame. We could go back and do that real quick once we get to the end of the questions. All right. In the new version, the message text amount would be increased for we can only send 32 characters. So I believe with ASCII, it's 140 characters. And it doesn't do message splitting. So it will truncate. Message splitting is a harder problem to solve than I think some people realize, but yeah, so the limit, my understanding is the limit's 140. If you use Unicode, your message gets shorter because it takes 16 bits instead of 8 or 7 if you're using GSM, and that's why the messages get shorter and shorter. So I hope that answers that question. Let's go fix the demo. I'll log back into this. I can't believe I forgot to add a contact. So you go to connections, go to SMS. I don't have anyone to notify. That's why it didn't work. So I'll put myself in there. Oh, got my phone number. Such a oversight. I'll be beating myself up over this one. So we'll save it and go. Let's see what the alarm state is right now. Yeah, we'll make it, we'll just ACK it and reset. And message will come back in. Open it. Notification was sent. I just got it on my phone. So I'll just reply to it with the ticket number. So if you haven't sent if you haven't sent an alarm with Win91 before, everything has a ticket number. So if you want to ACK it, you just need to type the ticket number and send it back in, and then it will acknowledge that alarm. So we'll go to the acknowledgement tab. It's already acknowledged, and you can see that it came in from SMS, and it sent me another notification telling me it was acknowledged. If we go look at the state change, you can see that there. If I come look into Factory Talk, you can see this alarm got acknowledged. There it is. And in Factory Talk's case, so you can see it's acknowledged, we actually, the user info gets passed back to Factory Talk. I don't like this box. So you see ACK by Win91 connection, Steven. So that actually gets pushed back to your Factory Talk connection. All right. Okay, so I'm sorry about that deal there. So in the new version, the amount of text will be increased. Okay, that's the same question. All right, so if there are no other questions, then I think that is going to be wrap it up. If you want to purchase this modem or have more questions about it, please reach out to our sales team, sales@win91.com, just so everybody knows the whole office is working from home due to the COVID-19 situation. We are still open for business. We've taken steps to make sure everyone can work from home. Shipping might be a little delayed. So if you do purchase one of these modems from us, then just be aware of that. But yeah, other than that, we're trying to keep things as normal as we can. All right, so thanks for everyone for participating, and have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, bye.